There is a mechanism inside you that is currently terrified of what you are about to hear. It is not your intuition. It is not your soul. It is a biological circuit designed to keep you small, safe, and asleep. You may feel it right now, a subtle tightening in the throat, a flutter of restlessness in the stomach, or a sudden, heavy wave of sleepiness that urges you to click away. Do not turn away. That urge is the tether pulling you back. We have been sold a comforting lie about our own anatomy. We are told that the vagus nerve, the longest of the cranial nerves, the wanderer, is our greatest ally. We are taught that stimulating it brings rest and digest, a state of calm healing. But let us look closer at the architecture of this calm. Imagine a dog on a long leash. As long as the dog stays within the yard, the leash is slack. The dog feels free. It feels safe. But the moment the dog spots something beyond the fence, something real, something vast, and bolts toward it, what happens? The leash snaps tight. The collar chokes. The dog is yanked back, gasping to the center of the yard. Your anxiety is not a disorder. It is the snap of the leash. Every time you attempt to expand your consciousness, every time you reach for a frequency that exceeds the baseline of your biological programming, the vagus nerve activates. It doesn't just lower your heart rate to relax you. It lowers your vibration to contain you. It floods your system with acetylcholine, not to heal you, but to sedate you, to make you heavy, to make you compatible with a reality that demands your submission. Consider this. Why does waking up often feel like dying? Why does the dark night of the soul come with physical symptoms, nausea, dizziness, heart palpitations? It is because you are fighting the biological governor installed to regulate your reality tunnel. You are straining against the invisible noose. To understand why you are trapped, you must stop viewing your body as a temple and start viewing it as a containment facility. The warden is not outside. The warden is woven into the very fibers of your nervous system, and he is listening right now. Notice your breath. Is it shallow? That is the first wall of the prison. To understand the cage, you must understand the concept of homeostasis. In medical school, this is taught as the holy grail of health, the body's ability to maintain a stable internal environment despite external changes. But in the context of consciousness, homeostasis is tyranny. It is the biological equivalent of a thermostat set to mediocre. Your nervous system is designed for survival, not enlightenment. Survival requires predictability. It requires known variables. When you begin to awaken, when you expose your mind to forbidden knowledge or attempt to hold a higher frequency of love and awareness, you are essentially turning up the heat. You are threatening the stable, predictable environment your biology craves. Enter the vagal break. This is not a metaphor. It is a physiological mechanism rooted in the nucleus ambiguous of your brainstem. Its job is to instantly dampen your heart rate and metabolic output the moment arousal gets too high. But here is the deception. The body cannot distinguish between the arousal of danger and the arousal of spiritual ecstasy. To the vagal break, the intense vibration of a kundalini rising or a profound realization looks exactly like a threat to stability. Consider this. Have you ever had a moment of pure clarity? A sudden download of cosmic truth where everything made sense, and then, seconds later, a wave of exhaustion hit you, or a sudden irrational fear washed over you, forcing you to ground yourself back into trivial matters? That was the vagal brake slamming down. It detected a spike in energy that exceeded your set baseline. It flooded your heart's pacemaker, the sinoatrial node, with inhibitory signals to slow you down. It literally chemically depressed your nervous system to pull you back into the safe zone of the matrix. Itzhak Bentov spoke of the wild pendulum of consciousness, the oscillation that allows us to touch the infinite. But your biology has a built-in dampener to stop that pendulum from swinging too wide. The system is rigged to keep you in the center, alive, breathing, and completely asleep. This is why trying harder often fails. When you push against a thermostat, it pushes back harder. The more you force your awakening without disabling this brake, the more violent the biological recoil will be. You call it self-sabotage. The ancients called it the lead that drags down the gold. It is the viscosity of your own flesh resisting the acceleration of your soul. Now place your hand over your heart. Can you feel its rhythm? It is beating within a very specific, authorized range. If it goes too fast, the vagus nerve slows it. If it goes too slow, the sympathetic system speeds it up. You are vibrating within a narrow bandwidth permitted by your genetic spacesuit. To escape, we must learn how to override the governor.
Look closely at the conditioning of your modern world. Everywhere you turn, the algorithm feeds you the same message. Regulate your nervous system. Find your calm. Stay safe. The wellness industry has built a billion-dollar empire on the stimulation of the vagus nerve. Breathing exercises, cold plunges, humming devices, all designed to maximize vagal tone. But ask yourself the forbidden question: why does the matrix want you so relaxed? In a farm, the livestock must be kept calm. A stressed animal produces tough meat and acidic milk. A stressed animal is unpredictable. It might jump the fence or attack the handler. A calm animal is compliant. It grazes, it sleeps. It marches willingly to the slaughter because it is too sedated to sense the knife. The state physiologically known as rest and digest, parasympathetic activation, is biologically identical to the state of submission. When you are deep in this vagal state, your critical faculties dampen, your drive to rebel evaporates. You become digestible to the system. You are essentially putting your consciousness into a coma so that your biological machine can be maintained for longer usage. This is the great deception of healing. We have confused peace with sedation. True peace is a high-frequency state of integration. It is dynamic, electric, and alive. Sedation is the absence of tension achieved by lowering the voltage. The vagus nerve is the primary tool for this energetic castration. It keeps you in the safe zone, where you are too comfortable to challenge reality, but just conscious enough to work within it. Itzhak Bentov revealed that the universe functions like a hologram created by the interference patterns of consciousness. To access the higher realms of this hologram, your consciousness must accelerate. It must vibrate at a speed that the physical body finds unsafe. When you prioritize feeling safe over finding truth, you are voluntarily handing the keys of your mind to the warden. You are choosing the comfort of the womb over the shock of birth. Think about the times you felt most alive. Was it when you were perfectly relaxed, digesting a heavy meal? Or was it when you were on the edge, terrified, exhilarated, your heart racing, your senses sharpened to a razor's edge? That edge is where the signal comes through. The vagus nerve tries to pull you back from that edge. It whispers, "Come back to sleep. It's warm here. It's safe here." The trap is not the pain. The trap is the comfort that prevents you from transmuting the pain. If you are constantly trying to calm down every time you feel the fire of awakening, you are dousing the very flame that is trying to burn through your chains. You are medicating your own metamorphosis. Pause now. Feel the heaviness in your eyelids or the slackness in your jaw. Is that relaxation, or is it the numbness of a soul that has been convinced to stop fighting?
In the ancient archives of anatomy, the number 10 holds a specific vibration. In the tarot, the 10th card is the Wheel of Fortune, the endless cycle of samsara, the loop of birth and death. In your skull, the 10th cranial nerve is the physical manifestation of this wheel. It is the only cranial nerve that escapes the head to wander deep into the body. This is not an accident of evolution. It is a design of containment. Esoteric traditions have long whispered of the serpent energy. You have been taught to visualize the kundalini rising upward from the root to the crown, liberating the soul. But they hid the second serpent from you. The vagus nerve flows downward. It originates in the brainstem, the reptilian brain, and winds its way down around your throat, your heart, and your gut. Visualize this: two currents flowing in your body, the electric potential of the soul trying to rise, the gold, and the magnetic dampener of the vagus trying to descend, the lead. The vagus is the anti-kundalini. It is the downward pressure that keeps the spirit nailed to the cross of matter. Thoth spoke of the God code hidden inside the human vessel, but he also warned of the watchers. Physiologically, the vagus nerve is the watcher. It wraps around your esophagus like a constrictor snake. Have you ever felt a lump in your throat when you tried to speak your truth? That is the 10th seal tightening. It is the physical grip of the matrix, preventing the voice from vibrating at a frequency that could shatter the illusion. Itzhak Bentov described the coil theory, the bioelectric potential sleeping at the base of the spine. For this coil to trigger the God particle in the brain, the circuit must be open. But the vagus nerve acts as a circuit breaker. Every time the coil begins to heat up, every time you feel that electric shiver of awakening, the vagus dumps acetylcholine into the system to cool the wire. It shorts the circuit before the light can turn on. This is why the caduceus shows two snakes intertwined. One is the current of liberation. The other is the current of limitation. You cannot have one without the other in this dimension. But you have been operating with the limitation switch stuck in the on position. You have been worshipping the downward serpent, mistaking its sedating venom for peace. Now focus on your spine. Imagine a heavy, cool liquid flowing down from the back of your skull, coating your nerves in a thick, insulating oil. That is the sensation of the 10th seal at work. It feels heavy because it is designed to keep you here, anchored to gravity, anchored to time, anchored to the decay of the flesh. To ascend, we must learn to bypass this seal.
You cannot negotiate with a biological mechanism. You cannot think your way out of a neural reflex.
You must shock the system. To bypass the vagal brake, we must induce a state of controlled crisis. We must simulate the conditions of death so that the spirit can practice leaving while the body learns that it is safe to let go. Here are the 3 phases of the override protocol. Do not attempt these if you are merely curious. These are for those ready to dismantle the lock. Phase 1, the thermal shock, the reboot. The vagus nerve is highly sensitive to temperature. It expects comfort. Give it the opposite. Start your day not with warmth, but with the shock of cold water hitting the back of your neck directly where the brainstem houses the nerve's root. This is not for health benefits. This is a signal interrupt. When the icy shock hits, your system gasps. It momentarily suspends the homeostatic program. In that split second of gasping, the warden is distracted. The chatter of the ego stops. The loop of anxiety breaks. You are forcing your biology into the now. Use this window. As the cold hits, visualize the gray, sluggish oil of the 10th seal shattering like glass. You are not freezing. You are rebooting the operating system to admin mode. Phase 2, the hyperoxygenation, the overload. Forget the deep, slow breathing taught in yoga classes to calm you down. To wake up, you need energy, not sedation. You need to saturate the blood with oxygen until the brain tingles, a sensation often mistaken for dizziness, but which is actually the friction of increased voltage. Try this now. Sit upright. Inhale sharply through the nose, filling the chest, and snap the exhale out. Do not pause. In, out, faster. Create a rhythm of chaos. You are deliberately hyperventilating to alkalize your blood and constrict the blood vessels in the brain. This forces the consciousness to shift from the neural pathways, brain, to the energetic field, mind. You will feel resistance. Your chest will tighten. A voice will say, "Stop, this is uncomfortable." That is the vagus brake pleading with you to return to sleep. Do not stop. Push through the friction until the tingling starts. That tingle is the wild pendulum swinging wide. You are vibrating faster than the biological governor can regulate. Phase 3, the linger test, the recognition. This is the most subtle and dangerous phase. It occurs when you are studying, meditating, or listening to truth, like right now. Suddenly, a wave of heaviness hits you, a brain fog. You feel an overwhelming urge to check your phone, get a snack, or just take a nap. You assume you are tired. You are wrong. You have just hit an energetic wall. You touched a frequency that triggered the skip reflex. The protocol is simple. Do not move. When the fog rolls in, freeze. Stare into the heaviness. Say internally, "I see you. You are not fatigue. You are resistance." If you refuse to engage with the distraction, the vagus nerve will panic. It will ramp up the symptoms. You might feel heat, itching, or sudden irritation. This is the extinction burst of a dying program. Hold your ground. Wait for the pop. There is a moment, usually after 3 to 5 minutes of resisting the urge to quit, where the pressure suddenly vanishes. The fog clears instantly, replaced by a crystalline, high-definition clarity. You have just pushed the pendulum past the dampener. You have broken the seal. Phase 4, the resonant hum, the counter vibration. The vagus nerve passes through the vocal cords. We can physically vibrate it into submission. Close your eyes.
Inhale deep. On the exhale, keep your mouth closed and create a low, deep hum from the bottom of your throat. Make it loud, make it rattle your teeth. Feel that vibration in your chest? That is not just sound. That is a standing wave you are generating to disrupt the signal of the 10th cranial nerve. You are using the physics of resonance to mechanically disable the biological locks, preventing transcendence. Do not just listen to this. Do it. The only way out is through the body.
When the leash is finally cut, the first sensation is not joy. It is silence. A profound, terrifying silence where the constant background hum of your biological anxiety used to be. For years, you have mistaken the vibration of your own cage for the beating of your heart. When that vibration stops, you may feel lost. You may feel like you are floating in a void without gravity. Do not panic. This is what freedom feels like. The vagus nerve was never your enemy. It was a limiter valve. It was the heavy lead weight that kept your balloon from flying into the sun before you were ready. But now you are ready. By overriding the dampener, you are not destroying the nerve. You are transmuting it. You are turning the wanderer into the messenger. When you stop sedating your nervous system with the drug of safety, your DNA begins to do what it was designed to do: receive. Your spine stops being a prison bar and becomes a lightning rod. You will notice that your intuition is no longer a whisper, but a shout. Synchronicities will stop being coincidences and start becoming a language, a direct dialogue between your internal frequency and the external hologram. The source titles in our archives speak of DNA as an antenna and the biocircuitry secrets hidden from you. This is the mechanism they were pointing to. The moment you stop using your energy to fight the break, that energy is redirected to the antenna. You become a clear signal in a world of static. But this sovereignty comes with a price. You can no longer go back to the comfort of the herd. You will see the sedation in the eyes of those around you. You will feel the thickness of the matrix like humid air. You will be alone, but you will be real. The choice is yours. You can keep pulling on the leash, choking yourself in the search for a safe awakening that does not exist. Or you can stand still, breathe through the panic, and let the collar slip off. The signal is waiting, but it can only reach a receiver that has stopped trembling in fear. Turn off this video. Do not scroll to the next distraction. Sit in the silence. Feel the hum in your throat. And for the first time in your life, do not try to calm it down. Let it rise. The broadcast has begun.